Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Macy Lee, and I'm the Manager of Science and Programs for Curves. Before we get started, I have a couple questions to ask you, and I'd love for you to either unmute or type your answers into the chat. Now, how many of you have heard about foam rolling? Looks like we got a few coming into the chat. That's awesome. Now, how many of you have ever tried it? Okay, so we've got a few that have heard about it, but we haven't tried it yet. Well, awesome. Today we're going to be discussing the benefits of foam rolling and honestly, why it can hurt so good. As we go through the presentation today, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and I'll be watching them as we go through today. Over the past 20 years, foam rolling has become one of the hottest trends in fitness. The question is, why has this become so popular and why should you consider doing it? Foam rolling is a form of self-myofascial release, also known as SMR, or a self-delivered deep tissue massage. The purpose is to locate knots or tight spots within your muscles that may be impeding your range of motion or your muscle performance or just causing overall soreness. By releasing these knots and these tight spots, your muscles are going to be able to perform better. And I do see someone put in here, yes, it felt like bricks. Yes, we'll talk about why we say it hurts so good. I am sure we have all heard the song Dry Bones as a child. It describes how the foot bone is connected to the leg bone. This is true in many different capacities. And this is best explained through the kinetic chain. The kinetic chain describes how body segments are connected through our muscles, joints, tendons, ligaments, and fascia. The kinetic chain works as an intricate functional unit. If one segment isn't functioning correctly or efficiently, the other components must compensate, which can overload tissue, cause fatigue, poor movement patterns, and other compensations. As I mentioned, fascia. This is a thin sheath of fibrous tissue enclosing our muscles and organs. It's like a mesh substance, kind of like tissue paper that adds support to our muscles and organs. It's kind of like an internal ace bandage, holding everything together. It's primarily made of collagen and is broken into one of four classifications. There's the superficial fascia laying just beneath the skin, deep fascia, which surrounds the muscles, visceral fascia, which surrounds organs, so on. There are several different fascial chains that run throughout the body, as you can see here on the screen. The superficial back line connects the back from the back of the skull through the spinal column, down through the glutes, and even down through the legs. There's also a superfascial front line that connects everything through the front. And one of the ones I love to think about the most are the sporadic lines that connect the left ear to the right foot. Who knew that we had fascia going every which way around the body? As I just mentioned, the sporadic line crosses through the body, connecting that left shoulder and left side of the neck through the right glute down even further into the right foot. However, if you're dehydrated or you've sustained an injury, one of these fascial lines can become sticky and interfere with movement. So, for example, sometimes we could be having shoulder pain and it's not even our shoulder. It could be something going on in that hip or glute because of the fascia. So, now that we understand how fascia works and runs through the body, it's easy to understand how tightness may actually be deferred pain from something else going on in the body. As I mentioned before, the purpose of foam rolling is to locate knots or tight spots that may be impeding your range of motion or muscle performance. By focusing on these knots and tight spots, your muscles are going to be able to perform better. However, most people don't perform foam rolling the way research has recommended it. It involves identifying these tight spots in the muscles and applying specific techniques to kind of change the tissue, to release the tissue, if you would. The theory of foam rolling is that it can have a similar effect as applying compression and encouraging circulation. The correct way to foam roll is to start with superficial muscles and gradually work to deeper muscles for the greatest benefit. And when done correctly, foam rolling, as I mentioned before, has that same effect as a deep tissue massage. It increases circulation, it helps release scar tissue, and it can even realign, and support movement areas. This is accomplished by applying slight compression to these areas. So remember, the idea is to apply compression to press down on that area as you're rolling, not just to roll back and forth really fast. Over the past several years, a number of research studies have been completed highlighting the benefits of foam rolling. And these benefits include decreased soreness and fatigue following a workout, improved muscle function and range of motion, improved artery flexibility. I thought this was really exciting. This can help lower blood pressure because the body is able to push blood through the body with a greater ease. So, in short, foam rolling can be like hitting the reboot button on your body. As with every exercise program, though, it's always best to consult your primary care provider first, especially if you have any chronic pain or a major injury. Some of the reasons that you may not want to foam roll may include if you have osteoporosis. In particular, foam rolling on your spine or hips should be avoided because it can lead to an increased risk of fracture. If you have diabetes, you want, or particularly if you have neuropathy with diabetes, foam rolling, especially on your lower legs and feet, can cause damage to the blood vessels that you wouldn't feel. If you currently have high blood pressure, foam rolling should be done with caution because when done correctly, it is uncomfortable. And discomfort can cause you to hold your breath, which holding your breath elevates your blood pressure. If you have varicose veins, you don't want to roll over that area because foam rolling can cause damage to those veins. Any area that you have had recent injury or surgery should be avoided. And if you're pregnant, particularly if you're in your third trimester, your body starts to produce the hormone relaxin, which helps the muscles around your hips relax in preparation for giving birth. So, foam rolling in your third trimester, particularly around your hips, can cause increased joint stability. And foam rolling the lower legs and ankles can actually induce labor. Now, as I mentioned before, foam rolling is like a form of self-myofascial release, and this can cause discomfort, much like a deep tissue massage. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you feel absolutely nothing, and 10, it is the extreme worst pain you've ever felt, foam rolling should be somewhere between a 6 and an 8. This is why we say it hurts so good. If you're doing it correctly, it will be uncomfortable in that moment, but it will feel good later. It'll feel better the moment you stop. It's important to notice the difference between discomfort and pain. If you are feeling any pain, you should stop and consult your primary care provider. Now, if you have a tennis ball handy, I'm going to pause for a moment because I want you to go grab that tennis ball because I want us to do a quick foam roll session together. So I'm going to give everyone about 30 seconds to go grab a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball if you happen to have one handy. And if you don't, that's okay. We'll still be able to participate in this, and then we'll get back together to do this next one. Okay, so I hope everyone's back. We're going to start with a quick test. So I want everyone to stand up. And what we're going to do is we're going to reach our arms up overhead and hinge forward towards our hips. I'm sorry, I thought that was going to play for us. I want to see how far we can actually reach our hands towards the ground. Can we reach all the way to the ground? Can we reach our hands to our thighs? Can we get our hands to our shins? Or like I said, all the way to the ground. And I want you to notate anywhere you feel tightness with this. Okay. Now slowly come back up and we're going to come to a chair. And I want you to grab that tennis ball and we're going to put it under the middle of the foot. Now remember, we want to start with our superficial muscles first and then we're going to work deeper. So what we're going to do is start with that tennis ball right at like just above the ball of the foot, just beneath the toes. And we're just going to slowly roll about 2 centimeters per second and just kind of see if there's any tight spots. Anytime you feel a tight spot or a knot, if you would, I want you to just apply gentle pressure as you take a nice deep breath, hold it there for a few seconds. And then we're going to continue to move throughout the foot, moving closer to the heel. Continue to look for those tight spots. And I'm going to give you a few moments to do that. As you do this, keep in mind that A lot of these muscles work together to improve mobility. So if you have tight spots in your foot, remember through the fascial line, this can be impacting your ankle, your knee, your hip, all the way up. Okay. So now if we just did the right side, let's repeat this on the left side. Again, let's start just below the toes, right at the high upper part of the ball of the foot. Roll slowly, gentle pressure, looking to find any knots or tight spots. When you find one, just kind of lean into it a little bit, apply a little bit of gentle pressure as you take some breaths. We don't want to hold our breath as we do this. Hold it there for a few moments and then continue to find and look for any other knots or tight spots. Okay, fantastic. Now we're going to go ahead and stand back up, reach those arms back up overhead and hinge forward, lowering your arms back down towards the ground. I want you to notice, did you increase your range of motion? Are your hands on your thighs, your knees, your shins, your ankles, the tops of your feet? Was there any improvement? Slowly roll back up and come back on over and let me know if you saw any differences or any improvements with that stretch. The other thing I want to mention is having the right foam roller can impact your results. Curve's foam roller has a couple great benefits. Number one, it's made in the USA. Its dimensions are great. It's 18 inches long by 6 inches, around 6 inches in density. And it's about 11 ounces. So it's nice and light, but it's durable. It can hold over 2,000 pounds. But the biggest thing that I love about this foam roller, and I have used a lot of foam rollers over the years, is that it has an ideal shape to contour to your body and target your muscles. You'll notice that it has kind of crevices in it. And this is great for when you do foam roll on your back, but you don't want to be on your spine, but you want to hit those erector spinae muscles going up and down your back, or when you're foam rolling on your hip, but you don't want to hit that iliac crest. So lots of great things with this foam roller. If you're a member in a local club, talk to your coach. And if you're a member of My Curves on Demand, log onto your account and go to the shopping category because these are great ways that you can get this foam roller. Lastly, you can find guided foam rolling classes on My Curves on Demand in the stretch and recovery category. These classes are going to walk you through how to foam roll over your lower body, your body, your back, your hips. We have two newest classes in there. One is hip mobility for foam rolling. And then we also have foam rolling the sporado lines. And as I mentioned before, I find it fascinating how our left shoulder and neck is connected to our right foot. Thank you so much for joining me today to learn more about foam rolling. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, I hope you join us next week.